Bounding into comics, The Last of Us actress Storm Reed responds to homophobic backlash. Says if you don't like it, don't watch. The Last of Us actress Storm Reed recently responded to homophobic backlash over the show's blatant portrayal of disordered lifestyles and acts of grave depravity. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Anti-Woke Warrior. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed because YouTube does unsubscribe people every single day. You can find me on Rumble and on Twitter. Links are down below in the little space below the video where I can leave more information. Now, I'm not really going to get into this article because it's pointless to get into this article. I wasn't planning on talking about The Last of Us anymore because I don't do show reviews very often. So what has happened, though, to prompt me to get into The Last of Us and review Episode 7 is that Heel vs. Babyface has stopped reviewing the show. Why would Heel vs. Babyface stop reviewing the show? Now, he was reviewing the show with somebody named Jayne. We go to the videos here. You can see he did The Last of Us Episode 6 right here. And he says, "We're done. Coming propaganda and degeneracy." Now, you watch this video here, which I will leave a link to down below. It seems like they claim that the reason they're done is because the show is promoting kid touching. That was what I got out of that episode. That episode of Heel vs. Babyface's review. They're like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this anymore because kid touching. It promotes kid touching. That's wrong. Blah-da-dee, blah-da-dee, blah, 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 etc., etc. So, okay. I got nothing against Heel vs. Babyface, but, I mean, I can only assume that they're being dishonest in this episode. And I'm going to explain to you why. So the reason they think that this show, the episode 6, promotes kid touching is because of this right here. The image you're seeing on the screen right now is of a small plastic or rubber object. And they claim that it is a diaphragm.
I mean, you're going to have to explain this to me, right? Because this is a woman thing, Jayne. Maria has left Ellie a gift. Do you want to tell the good people, Jayne, what the gift is?
You want me to tell them?
I ain't sticking it in me.
She leaves her a diaphragm.
She leaves her a 14-year-old girl. A child, a kid. She gives her a diaphragm. Jayne, could you just explain for the good people at home, if they don't know, what a diaphragm is?
This is a form of birth control.
It's a form of birth control, you say?
Yes.
But if it's a form of birth control and sexual intercourse are usually hand in hand.
Correct.
One doesn't need or go or use birth control, like maybe the pill, maybe a contraceptive like a condom or a diaphragm, unless they are sexually active.
Correct.
So this is a shot from the show, from episode 6, of Ellie holding this small rubber object, which happens to have a hole on both ends, by the way. Not going to work too well as contraception. But it says right here on the piece of paper that she is holding, the manual for how to use this object, it says, menstrual solution, the Diva Cup. It is not a diaphragm. I wouldn't expect Az to know that this isn't a diaphragm. He's a man. I would, however, expect Jayne, who is female, I know I'm assuming her gender, so I'm evil. You can cancel me. To know what the difference between a menstrual cup and a diaphragm is. I know this, and I have never used either one, and I've never known anyone. Nobody's ever admitted to me anyway that they've used either one. Here they are side by side. You can see the difference between them. This right here, pull up this image if I can. That's a diaphragm. Menstrual cup is very obviously different. Some looks like some don't have holes on the narrow end. And later, one of the characters asked her, hey, did you get the gift? It's going to come in really handy. And we saw earlier in a previous episode where Ellie was like excited that she found tampons. And I imagine that would be something that would be rare to find. You'd have to use a reusable pad. You'd have a rag, I would imagine, that you would use and wash, and then you use and wash. Just like cloth diapers used to be a thing. Or they still are a thing, actually. People still use cloth diapers, but a lot of people use disposables, and they use disposables sometimes in conjunction with the cloth diapers. So I don't know why they're lying about this, because it says right in there in the show. I mean, this is ridiculous. It says right in the show what this thing is. And yet they call it birth control. See, because they want to have a city of kid touchers. No. And besides which, in reality, the reality of the situation is Ellie being 14, she would be looking at getting married, if not being already married off. That's just the reality of post-apocalyptic human survival situation. Women are of an age where they're going to be wanting to do these things, and we need to have stability in the system. That's why marriage evolved, because it was like, okay, we got a bunch of women here who have a bunch of children they have to take care of, and they can't really do anything to produce any kind of useful things for our society to function, for our civilization to function. What do we do? Well, we have a man step in and say he's going to stay with this woman and provide for her and her children. While he goes to work and does all that, the woman can stay home then and take care of her kids. And yes, I know mothers have worked for a long, long time, especially in the Western world. I'm not stupid. I understand this. But women would do more, as much as they could, they would do more domestic type work around, where the kids were going to be, whereas the men would go farther afield and go into battle and things of this nature, go hunting, go into battle, because they were disposable, expendable, etc. Because, it just is biological reality that, hey, I as a man could impregnate, realistically speaking, I could probably impregnate 50 women in 9 months. I could potentially impregnate 275, something like that, in 9 months. Whereas a woman can, if she's really lucky, maybe have 3 kids in 9 months. There's an outside chance. There's an outside chance I could have impregnated close to 300 women in 9 months, 250 women, outside chance. Outside chance a woman could have 3 kids in 9 months. So men aren't as important as women are, because there's a bottleneck when you get to women. That's just how it is. Furthermore, there's no indication in the show that she would be getting involved with adults. It could be because, let's assume it was a diaphragm. It could just be because, hey, look, you're coming to that age where you're going to be having sex. So you're going to be having sex with other teenage boys. We need to make sure that you're not getting pregnant. And this is a note to all of the haters out there who want to say that I'm just making this stuff woke, even though it's not actually woke. I'm just making it up. I'm just looking for woke stuff. I'm finding it underneath every rock, in every nook and cranny. I'm finding woke. Right here you go. I'm pointing out where there is a channel who is trying to make everything woke, whether it's woke or not. And I'm not doing that. And I've said this before, the disclaimer, said this many times before. I don't know if any of these decisions are being made to press the progressive agenda. I don't know that. I don't know why they're putting these elements into the show. But I can only assume that it's for the progressive agenda. They might be completely innocuous. You are allowed to have shows about homosexuals. You are allowed to have media that depicts strong women, that has the female main character. You're allowed to do that. But when you shoehorn it into a show like this right here, where it does not serve the story, it does not serve the story at all. You could have zero homosexuality. The story would be the same. So why is it there? You could have zero or fewer strong, independent women who don't need no man. But everybody in a leadership position in this show is a female. You could say the same thing about my book. I wrote a book. It's going to be coming out soon. I tried to get it published. Nobody accepted it. But it's going to be print on demand. And there are elements in the book, in the story, that you could say, hey, that's woke. If you didn't know me, you didn't know better, you could be like, hey, there's strong women here. What the heck? It serves the story, though. Everything I do is in service of the overall story. Whereas there's absolutely zero reason to have Ellie saving Joel. And finally, I actually do have proof on this particular series in general. Bounding into comics, The Last of Us director admits to tricking audience to push gay storylines and propaganda. As part of his answer, Hoare stated, sometimes you have to sort of trick the rest of the world into watching these things before they're like, oh my God, it was 2 guys. I just realized, I think then they might understand that it's all real. It's just the same love. Except they're pushing this in a show that they know is going to be popular. It's going to be watched by a lot of people. I've never played the games. Never even actually seen the games being played. No exposure to the game. And I'm watching this show because it looked like it might be a good show. Boy, was I wrong. Down here, we have the actress who plays Ellie, saying, I know people will think what they want to think, but they're going to have to get used to it. If you don't want to watch the show because it has gay storylines, because it has a trans character, that's on you, and you're missing out. It's going to have a trans character in it. Great. Just what we need. in a post-apocalyptic world. Maybe somebody who transitioned beforehand, but how are they getting their hormones today? Because your body doesn't produce those hormones. And like I just said, this is not about homosexuality. It's not about strong female character. It's about shoehorning the message into a show about a zombie apocalypse. Storm Reed also added to this conversation. If you don't like it, don't watch. There's so many other things to worry about in the world. I think being concerned about who people love is just absurd to me. I just don't. I will never understand it. I don't get it. Yeah, because you're a 19-year-old child is why. 19-year-olds is still a child, really. And the actress who plays Ellie is 20, older somehow. It wouldn't be a problem if we didn't see this being put. I mean, how many kids are watching the show? I mean, obviously it's not rated for children, but how many kids are watching this? How many kids are we seeing being groomed into these alternative lifestyles? This is all part of grooming. We saw the San Francisco gay chorus singing that we're coming for your children. Doesn't get any more obvious than that. That these people are pushing the gay, the trans, the rainbow coalition agenda onto our children. We're going to see more of this in the episode as I review it, beat by beat, and frustrate the crap out of you. If you haven't seen this, don't watch it. It's really, really lame. But we'll get into the episode now, and I'll just review it point by point. So we cut into Ellie, and has moved Joel and the horse into a house. All three of them are in a house. Now this is The Last of Us, episode 7. Strong empowered woman rising, strong empowered female rising, and we're gonna see just how much this promotes the strong empowered female narrative. And now I'm going to approach this from the point of view not so much of finding the woke stuff in this show, more finding the stuff that doesn't make sense for a post-apocalyptic world, which we're going to see. There's this in this episode. There's a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, that doesn't really add up. It doesn't. I mean, stuff that doesn't add up for the show. Period. Really. So somehow Ellie managed to drag Joel into this house. There was a trail of blood we were introduced to in the snow. Now, Ellie being like 95 pounds and having immature muscles, and Joel being like 200 pounds, I don't really see how that's possible, how she managed to get Joel. Because the last time we saw Joel, he had fallen unconscious off of his horse, was not moving, not responding at all. But now he's awake and responding, so whatever. I don't know how. That doesn't really make any sense, but okay. I mean, it would have made more sense to have Joel be like, we gotta find shelter, and then they like ride up to the house. And then Joel like falls off the horse or slumps onto the horse. That would have made a lot more sense. But what do I know? You know, I just complain on YouTube for funsies. So the intro quickly cuts to Ellie's life before she was taken in by the Fireflies, before she was imprisoned by the Fireflies. And she has a Walkman that is still in working order. Now, I don't know too much about tech and how it works. I had a CD player that only lasted like a portable CD player that only lasted like 3 years. It just stopped working. It wouldn't rotate the disc anymore. And I didn't even use it that often. I only used it like a handful of times. So I mean, this stuff wears out. I've had other cassette players that just wear out over the years. They just stop working, whether you're using them a lot or not. This stuff just breaks. So they're trying to convince us that the Walkman has lasted 40 years. So when was the last time Walkman were around? I mean, I'm sure it was, okay, so maybe it's only 30 years, but still 33 years. That's a long time for a small appliance like this to hold up. Furthermore, where's she getting her cassettes from? And would cassettes hold up all of this time? I know that a VHS does not last. I mean, I've had VHS cassettes that I played, that I recorded stuff on, and then I played like 5 years later, and they were all dark, and the image was not, it didn't have as much contrast. So over time, the cassettes, video cassettes, wear out. I'm assuming it's similar with audio cassettes too. They don't really last. I don't know. I haven't had an audio cassette in decades, probably. I don't know. So, and not only that, but the wire and the headset for the Walkman is in pristine condition, because that would be a priority when it comes to post-apocalypse. And somehow Ellie has one. I don't. Okay, whatever. It just doesn't make sense. So then we learned that Ellie is in some sort of military, paramilitary training program I guess, to become a soldier, which doesn't make any sense because, as I've already stated, women are extremely, extremely valuable when it comes to human survival, right? They're the ones that are important. We need more of them. We need as many of them as we can possibly get if you want the species to survive. Ellie would be getting training probably, yes, and she would probably have some military training as well, but it would be more focused on, like, this is what you need to do in an emergency situation. This is how you shoot a gun to defend your life, because there are bad monsters out there that will come at you and turn you into a bad monster. Plus, there are raiders out there that might come and try to hurt you. It would be things related to that more so than, oh, let's teach you how to be a soldier, because women are so expendable. We'd be putting them on the front lines, right? We'd be putting them in harm's way. We'd be putting them into dangerous situations. No, we would not. We would be protecting the women, and the women would want that anyway. I mean, what would you rather have if you're in a situation where, hey, you know what, we don't have all the comforts that we have here in the Western world, that there is actual existential threats coming to your community, more than one type of existential threat, on top of which medicine has been severely reduced in its proliferation and efficacy, not to mention that there could very well be just bad apples in your civilization. Are you going to be like, hey, yeah, let me go out and like carry a gun and be on the front lines. Yay, go lady, women power, woohoo. Or are you going to be like, yeah, men, you can go do that. You can go like put yourself out there in harm's way. I'm going to sit back here and kind of chill and get the most comfort out of life as I possibly can. Yeah, I know which one I would take if I had the option of going, yeah, I can be like comfortable working in like this safe area, or I can be out there exposed to danger. Yeah, which one do I want? Okay. So we are introduced to a character named Riley. Riley is a mixed race woman, young woman, teenager, who is best friends with Ellie. Riley, the actress who plays her, appears to be Blasian. I don't know what Riley was in the game. I never played the game, so if I sit here and say things that are like, well, you know, that was the way it was in the game, how come you're calling that out? I'm like, look, I didn't play the game. If the game has this in it, it's also stupid, all right? I don't think it's stupid that they have Riley being a mixed race teenage girl. That doesn't bother me. But about 40 minutes of a 55-minute show is about the relationship between Riley and Ellie. And this is a homosexual relationship that Ellie loves Riley. Apparently Riley loves Ellie, but it is really clear that Ellie loves Riley. Because, you know, homosexuality would be prevalent in a post-apocalyptic world. These people would not even be exposed to this notion. So yeah, there probably would be some people who thought they were gay or behaved in a homosexual manner, but it would be rare. And like I've already said, you know, Ellie would be looking at getting married off. Riley at 16, she'd be married off. She'd be done. And before you get all huffy about, oh my gosh, she's a 16-year-old. Yeah, in like half the states, that's legal. At least half the states, that's legal. So I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty prominent in the United States that 16-year-olds can like get with adults. Now, Riley shows up and takes Ellie out of her dormitory room and says, you ready for the best night of your life? Before they leave, and I'm thinking, orgy. That's where my mind automatically goes, because, you know, I mean, what else would a show that is just filled with debauchery want to show to us? So they find a dead body, and they walk right up to it. I know that when I was 14, I would have not been unnerved at all and wanted to get as close as possible to a dead person because, you know, they're not filled with disease or pestilence in any way. What the heck? I mean, especially in a world where you don't have medicine, where there's this evil creeping fungus that does kill people, why would you just walk right up to a dead body and stick your face close to his face? It doesn't make any sense to me. What do I know? I'm not a 14-year-old girl in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. So they go to the mall. Riley takes Ellie to the mall to show her 4 wonders. Now, the mall has been completely sealed off. There's no sunlight coming in because Ellie says that the lights can't get out because she turns on all the lights in the mall. Well, they walk right past this live tree. There's another one down the way here. How are these trees growing without sunlight? How are they growing without being watered on a regular basis? They would all be dead. I don't understand. I mean, why do these producers of these shows have to be so ridiculously myopic? I just don't understand. And Ellie is fascinated by the escalator. That's going to be important for the rest of my critique of this episode. She's fascinated by what's this thing? Moving stairs, electric stairs. Okay. Oh, and so the whole time they're talking back and forth, they got a lot of banter going. And the dialogue is that of snarky grad students. not of a 14 and 16-year-old. And you might be thinking, well, you're not post-apocalyptic world there, Mr. Anti-Woke Warrior. How would you know what they would sound like? Well, I mean, you're not going to pick up as much snark if you're not exposed to as much media, right? Because you're not going to be as exposed to language. You're not going to have, unless that's all they're teaching them is how to be smartasses. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, but anyway, continue on. So literally nothing interesting happens for about 15 minutes while they're in the mall, etc., walking around. They go to the merry-go-round, the most exciting ride at the county fair or theme park. And then they go into a photo booth that somehow still works. Not very well, but it works. And then finally something starts to happen when they get to a arcade. And it's not super interesting or exciting, but it is a tiny bit. It gets some tiny bit of like, oh, okay, this is kind of a little bit fun. Somehow, miraculously, though, Ellie, the girl who is just amazed by an escalator, knows what the coin slot on a video game is. And she knows that the coin slot also doubles as a button. And she knows that the black square below the coin slot is a coin return box. Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical, in case you couldn't tell. So then we learn that there is a clicker in the mall, even though the mall has supposedly been cleared of all of the infected. And not only that, it seems like that'd be something that you would make sure was really thoroughly handled before you posted somebody in the mall, which we're going to get to all this later. Not to mention the fact that also this clicker is kind of not really hidden that well. He's just in a store. Okay. So we find out that Riley is posted alone in the mall. So that she's been with the Fireflies for all of 3 weeks now. An untrained, untested teenage girl is going to be posted alone, trusted with a pistol and explosives at the very least. Yeah, somehow I find that really hard to swallow. Not to mention earlier, she mentioned that she was recruited by Girl Boss. Like, Girl Boss of the Fireflies recruited me. Yeah. She saw me sneaking around and I was awesome. So she came and recruited me. Because, of course, in the future, women are going to rule everything. Don't you know? Because they already rule everything now. So it would just continue on. But I know this is the wet dream of the progressives to sit here and go, oh my gosh, can you imagine, like, if society collapsed, women would just take charge. Oh, it would be so amazing. Yeah, except, no, they would be basically considered wives because we got to make babies. Now, they have a big fight, Ellie and Riley, because Ellie finds these explosives. And this happened in the last episode 6. Joel and his brother had a big fight over nothing. And I'm like, they're making mountains out of molehills. I mean, we don't have enough backstory here. I can understand that Ellie is concerned that the Fireflies are going to be blowing up civilians, and etc. But they don't go into leading us up to this big of a blow up between the two friends. So then we have the infamous kiss, the homosexual kiss between Riley and Ellie. And Storm Reed, the actress who plays Riley, says in the article, hey, if you don't like it, don't watch the show. I'm so much smarter than you. I know more than you because I'm 19 and I know stuff. She's 19 in real life. She only plays a 16-year-old in the show. The problem with the show is that half the characters are gay. And this is supposed to be either a surviving a post-apocalyptic world show or a surviving a zombie apocalypse show. One of those two. And that's really what it boils down to. It's not supposed to be a show about, oh, look, there's gay people in the future. Yay. Girl power. Yay. These are all woke things that should not exist in this show. The show should be about, hey, look, this is crazy post-apocalyptic world that people are trying to survive in, trying to make the best of it. No, it's all about, oh, look, gay people are awesome. Look, girls are awesome. Oh, yeah. Communism is good. Woohoo. So they get attacked by the clicker, of course. You knew that was going to happen. And we finally have the only powerful moment in the entire episode. They tried with some other moments, but we didn't have the context. We didn't have the backstory, enough of the backstory to feel anything in these moments where they're like, oh, I love you and you're leaving. I don't go. It just wasn't, it just fell flat, right? But this moment right here, man, I have the amazing ability to empathize. And I can only imagine what it must be like to be a 14-year-old girl and you've just been bitten and you're going to turn into a zombie and it's all over. Going to be nothing more. So this part really struck home. You could watch the first 10 minutes of this, watch the last 10 minutes of it, and you would get everything you need to know about this episode. But there's still more show to go. And we know that Ellie is immune. So it even though she does a good job, the actress does a good job of acting this part out. And you really feel her pain and frustration in that moment. For the audience, is not as powerful as it could have been, because we know that she is going to survive this. So then we cut back to Ellie frantically searching for something in this house that they're in, and she finds a needle and thread, and then she goes down and she stitches up Joel. How she knows about stitching is beyond me. Maybe she was trained in that in her little military training. She's using regular sewing thread. There are problems with that getting infected, that not being as effective as the threads that medical professionals use, that thread can wear out more easily and then break, and then the stitches break open. Not to mention the fact that Joel was stabbed deeply enough that his bowel was perforated, and he's going to go septic and he's going to die. So she needs antibiotics more so than she needs a needle and thread. But of course, we have the strong, empowered teenage girl saving the big, strong man who's been surviving this world for 20 years, oftentimes on his own or in extreme situations. But he can't do it anymore. He's got to have the girl save him. Girl power, girl power in the future. When it's post-apocalyptic future, it's going to be girl power. That's what's going to save everybody. Yes, technically, that is going to be what's going to save everybody, because the women are going to have the babies. So yeah, I don't watch this episode. Skip like the whole mall part until they get to the clicker at the end. That's really, you don't need to see any of that stuff in between. It really doesn't serve the story in any way. And this is the problem we had with the other gay episode. The other gay episode didn't do anything for the story. Riley could have been a boy, and it would have made more sense. A lot more sense. It wouldn't have been perfect, but it would have made a lot more sense. So, anyway, that's all I got for this time. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do the rest of the series when the episodes come out, and I will see you in the next episode.